I was wanting to let them know that the situation between me and my girlfriend have changed. We've decided to see other people and remain close friends. So we see each other, open relationship, and
Right, that's a good place to start when discussing relationships with the opposite sex. It might be a good segue into learning about the spiritual aspects of soulmating. Perhaps at your age, when you're still developing your access to your deeper self, to your soul, it's normal for you to seek out relationships with women, with members of the opposite sex. But it's a learning process. The more experience you have with women and with love, the more you learn and the more you will go inside to try to find out what is your soul telling you. Now, the soul is the deepest part of you. And in this day and age, relationships go through all kinds of problems, all kinds of challenges. And I know every human being, including you, sooner or later wants to contact a soulmate, someone who you feel you can connect with completely. But the most important level to connect on with a member of the opposite sex is the spiritual level. And if you're not fully in touch with your spiritual essence, if you haven't done enough work on the bottom line of your soul, and your partner hasn't, you're going to be struggling, and the level of your relationship will not be at the soulmate level. Does that make sense to you? All right, now let's talk about the mythology and tradition, how mythology and tradition kind of takes the institution of marriage and elevates it to a whole higher institution, the whole institution of marriage. How it takes it to a whole other level. You need to understand that marriage is different than a single-to-single relationship. Okay. Now, a real marriage is soulmating. There are marriages, they call them marriages, that are strictly genital to genital, and they're there for procreation, creating the next generation. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're soulmating relationships. That's a stage. Usually those are kind of like secular relationships. The couple isn't bonded by a deep spiritual connection. It is said, it is written, it is part of our mythology that the Lord God created a soul in heaven, and he sent it to earth and he split it in two. And the two parts were like a yin and a yang, a male part and a female part. And that through the work that you do on yourself, in terms of refining your soul and working with your soul, will prepare you for getting together with your other half, your other self. Now that's what a soulmate marriage is. That's what a real marriage is. So it's a much higher level. That's why many of the traditions, most of the traditions in the world today, they consider the institution of marriage to be sacred, to be holy. It's another level than a single relationship or a relationship that's based strictly on procreation. Now, there are marriages that their sole purpose is for the procreation of the next generation. But it doesn't mean that the couple is absolutely right for one another. A soulmate, in many ways, is a perfect fit. Because as the soul was created in heaven, it was like a circle, like an egg, like a yin and a yang. And it had a perfect fit. And when it was separated, when it separated and it would come back together again and fit perfectly. That doesn't mean that the couple or the people involved don't have to deal with the struggles of life. Does that make any sense to you?
Mm-hmm. when you said God created a soul and split them in half, and then we live in a world, extensive world, with lots of people, how are you supposed to know which one is the one?
That's an excellent question. How are you supposed to know which is the one? The heart. Now this is my take on it. A real marriage, a real soulmating marriage, you can tell that it's a soulmating marriage because both people, both halves, have absolutely no doubt that this is the perfect match. This is the perfect matchup. It's without doubt. The minute you have doubt entering into a relationship, you start questioning, hey, is this my soulmate? So
I see what you're getting at.
you get the point here.
It's starting to have doubts.
Yeah. If you're having doubts, if you're not sure.
You have no doubt, oh, this is my soulmate, then there's not a strong possibility.
Yeah.
That this is soulmate.
Yeah, so your soul, your spirit, your heart will tell you, hey, this person is a perfect match for me. This is my other half. This is the one that God intended me to be with. It's a spiritual experience.
So, at a younger age, when you're going on with relationships, your thoughts are somewhat immature. You somewhat think that, oh, this is my soulmate. I'm in love with this girl. I think this is the one. And then later you start to, wait a minute, this is my soulmate. But you kind of going against it, kind of like denying yourself. Wait a minute, there must be something wrong with me when I said that. So you can go along with it. But I can see what you're trying to say is that as you mature, as you go through relationship to relationship, and you become much more mature, much stronger, and go, is this the one? Is this what I want? And you start to move things more quickly. You start to get there more quickly. Finding your soulmate.
Well, life is meant to teach you lessons. You brought up a good point about maturity, but it's a spiritual maturity. It's a maturity of your soul. The soul that God created in heaven, it's like a mustard seed. You plant, it grows, it blossoms, and it becomes something greater. The two halves become a greater whole. So I think you got to think of it in those terms. So when you think of your soulmate, it's a heart thing, it's a spirit thing, it's a soul.
It's a living feeling.
Yeah.
It's a living feeling. That's like you go through stages, and like some of the stages are somewhat subtle, slower, and then sometimes they may bloom at a different rate, a different speed, and you think into it differently, you activate it differently, and then.
I think when you're younger, a lot of your energy is guided by sexual attraction. And if you're going at it strictly biological, by biology, you're missing the point. Because if you don't have a full sense of yourself, a full sense of your spirit and your soul, you're going to find somebody who's going to be in the same place, lacking that sense of self, that sense of spirit and soul. So you need time to have the egg inside of you, the spirit, the soul, to learn, to grow, to mature, and to become more connected to your divine self, to your